All right, so welcome back, Helpdesk Hangouts. This is going to be episode, which one are we on, you guys? This is 98, 99, 96. All right, getting close to that 100, which will be awesome. So my name is Matt Storms. Welcome back. We got some other people who will be joining us shortly. Phone calls and such. I literally just got off a phone call 5 seconds before this hangout. So thanks for joining us today. And for those of you who are watching, if you want to join us at any time, feel free to follow us on Helpdesk Hangouts and send me a message that you want to join and participate, because I know you guys will have questions and things like that. All right, so let's go ahead and do some introductions. We're going to go left to right in alphabetical order as far as I'm seeing it. Barry.
Hey, I'm Barry Schwartz. I just restarted 5 seconds after your actual phone call ended, but I like search, so I'll be talking about search.
Nice. Brian.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Brian Esri, one of the top contributors in the help forum, and I'm an SEO consultant in Atlanta, Georgia.
Awesome. We got Robert.
I'm Robert O'Haver, search engine or SEO and SEM consultant. Been in the business for a little bit 10 years with Internet Ad Pro.
And Wissam Dandam from Daytona Beach, Florida, international SEO consultant.
And you're the #1 SEO fan of what?
Roundtable.com.
Yeah. Just want to make sure we always annoy Barry a little bit, give him a little bit of a plug, since he's always so kind enough to join us and participate in these, even though he loves talking more about news than he does audits and stuff like that. So, anyway.
News. It could be discussion about SEO topics, but not looking at specific websites and looking for problems with it.
That's true. That's true. And Josh, want to go introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Josh Pashinsky. I'm an SEO with myself, my own agency, Josh Pashinsky Agency. And I typically help people recover from Panda, Penguin, stuff like that. Rank sites. You know.
All right. You do the stuff. I refuse to take on a client who's had a Panda or Penguin issue. I just won't do it anymore these days. I don't want to have to run into the wall 900 times. It's painful.
Well, send them my way then. Send them my way. I'll cut you a check.
Not a problem. It's usually the industry standard is when you send a client to someone else. Let's just answer that question real fast. What's your guys' industry standard? If I was to send you a client, how much money would you send me back, percentage-wise? 10, 15%?
How much do you want?
50.
Wissam, what do you usually kick back? What's your rate?
A kiss, a hug, and 20%.
20%, big baller. All right, Robert, what about you?
The same, 20%.
20. Okay, Josh. So what do you think about that?
Sure, whatever you want, Matt. Maybe no kisses or hugs. Well, maybe a hug, but you know, whatever.
I'm not really up for the hug. I mean, Wassam's Middle Eastern, so he'll do the kiss on the cheek, and I'm not really up for that.
Right. Yeah.
And then Brian, what about you?
Polish, so.
You will eventually do it. Just time.
Brian, what about you?
It depends. If you send me a lot of clients, maybe more than 20%.
Ooh, big baller. All right. I might have to yell at some of the SEOs I've been working with that kick me back 10 to 15% and say, hey, I got some other guys that'll do 20. So nice to know that number.
Cough, cough.
No. So keep that in mind. I mean, if you're overwhelmed with work, and if you know of other qualified people, there's no harm in sending referrals and business and things like that. Like if Barry was to send me someone that wanted SEO services and I take them on as a client, I would send Barry money. I would, because that's, I think, a nice thing to do. And my rule personally is you do that for a year. So every month for 12 months, and then after 12 months, then it's all yours. And that's the way it should work. And and let's get Baruch, since he just joined us. Baruch, we're talking about lead referrals, and so if I was to send you a client, okay,
yes,
and you were to take them on and say it was X amount of dollars, how much money of a percentage would you kick back to me as a lead referral?
20%.
20%?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, that's basically that's what everybody already said was about 20%. So that's a good number. So keep that in mind if you're ever, if you're ever working with other people. It's always nice. It's good to show that love, and sometimes you might not have the bandwidth to take on every client, and so it's good to share.
I would write the check to you with this.
Oh no.
With this pen.
You have to
I wouldn't
back
use
that
a regular pen.
What is
Sorry?
that?
That's a two-part pen, man.
Baruch,
okay.
you give people a very interesting impression of Canadians. Just speaking as a fellow Canadian, you give everyone else a very interesting.
Yes, everybody in my family.
For all you've done for Canadians' public relations.
The first thing they'll say about Baruch in my family is that he's good-hearted. He's got a good heart. So keep that in mind, guy.
All right. Well, cool. Well, let's talk about some news. I know that Barry covered a lot this week. There was some good stuff. I saw some really interesting stuff about 302s, and I would love to dig into that first. Did anybody else see that article about 302s?
Yes.
Yes.
It's quite aghast, actually.
What did you guys think about that? Anything?
Not everybody at once.
Well, I was quite alarmed that if 302s can be counted as bad links, that is a pretty big problem for reasons. One, a lot of the linking tools. Two, anyone can just make a 302 to your site, and of course, everyone knows that there's been a rumor that this is a very popular negative SEO tactic people have been using for the last year or two. And quite frankly, again, I don't want to be that guy, but I really don't think it's ethical for Google to allow that, because who is making 302s? Like, what normal person makes a 302 or even knows what it is? Clearly, it's someone who knows what they're doing, and it's probably just a negative SEO.
Well, hold on, though. Wassam, go ahead.
Well, the thing is, and this, I mean, I got a confirmation from Bing, I think, a while back, probably a year and a half ago, that if they hit a 302 multiple times, they can consider it as a 301. So if Bing is doing it, obviously Google was doing way behind Bing. So
I think
in certain issues, that 302 is a 302, and there's certain situations where the 302 Google will consider it as a 301.
So Barry, let me get this straight. So the 301 redirect was done from the site it was linking to, or what? Can you explain that?
No, they're talking about a webmaster who posted in Webmaster World that he got a manual link action for a URL that's linking to his site, but only through a 302 or temporary redirect.
I got you.
So one is we have to believe that this guy got a real link from a 302, and that wasn't at a certain time frame when the link wasn't 302ing. Maybe it was redirect. There's always, you got to trust what the guy's saying too, because you can't really post these detailed examples, and you have to trust them. Two is, I don't think I've ever seen anybody else report ever that they got a manual link action with a URL example that was a 302 redirect. I don't think I've ever seen that before. This is why I wrote about it.
Sorry, John. Before that, they do count 302s and even 301s as a type of link.
So in that case, I mean, I didn't have any issue with it. I just said this is the first time I ever saw it before, and if they're using it if they're passing link value through a 302, technically they should also pass penalties through it. I would think it makes logical sense. It just was interesting to see that.
Well, technically there on-site 302s and off-site 302s, and an off-site 302 can be treated, I believe, as a 301 redirect. That was actually addressed along, like, probably 2006-ish. But either way, I just wanted to mention there is a difference. They can be seen as differently in some cases.
So what if a 302 redirect hits a 301 redirect? What is that?
Hey,
Hey,
yeah, that's a
Zach,
good. I'd have to look at that.
Hey, how's it going?
the redirect issue of an issue or a user or a webmaster who got a warning of unnatural links and such. He's doing a reconsideration request, and he or she got a 302 link in that group. Now, is maybe Google screwed up and accidentally threw that in there, as one, or did or is Google now saying?
When you say a 302, what was the actual? I mean, right the link? Now I'm going to need the mechanics of this one. So the link URL just 302. There's a link URL given in the examples, but that URL just 302s, right? This is what we're talking about here, right?
Correct.
Okay. So how long has this link URL been 302ing for? I've seen a whole lot of linky shenanigans of late where links are put up, temporarily and ripped down again, or then redirected.
That's a good question, Barry.
We don't know the example here.
I didn't catch that.
Sorry, we don't know this specific example because it was posted in a thread and that person didn't really share the exact link example. We don't know the history on it. We're just saying that this guy claimed a 302 redirect was specifically listed as one of the URLs that is in violation of their link guidelines.
Right.
That being said, there was also the new reconsideration rejection notices that had a note from a reviewer that specifically told the webmaster to also be careful about looking about links pointing to his canonical version of his website, which is somewhat related to this whole 302 stuff. Not exactly, but canonicals could fall into that category. So there was 2 examples in 1 week almost of either redirected URLs or canonical URLs impacting the manual action of a link specifically pointing to the guy's website.
Odd situation.
I could see that if it was a 302 to a page that had a canonical that specified a different URL. Again, there's on-site and off-site, so that could be where the magic lies.
Hey, Barry. You said you've seen multiple examples now of this new help form the manual team can fill out?
No, I only saw one.
Oh, only one? Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you said you'd seen a few cases.
No, if you have more cases, send them my way.
Yeah, I'd definitely love to see them. It'd be really nice to see what kind of help they'll really provide.
Yeah, that information in that one was very useful. Obviously, the more we get, the more we could learn from it. Sorry, who was talking? Forgot. So, Brian, you were saying on-page versus off-page? So you mean 302s you do versus 302s somebody else links to you with?
No, I think it goes back to the time whenever it was possible to hijack. I think Matt did a blog post about it, and I'd have to look it up, but he made a difference between the off-site and on-site 302 redirect and how they're treated. So
I think you're talking about abc.com linking to xyz.com's 302
That's probably it. I haven't read it in a while. I have to go check it.
Versus somebody linking to your domain, which then 302s to another internal page, maybe.
So if I redirect rank secure to scroundtable.com, then that's spam. Then that's what they're looking for, really, right?
No.
Well, they do have a canonical algorithm. They do have a canonical algorithm, and they are very concerned about choosing canonicals and who's forwarding to who.
Yeah, but it's not spam by just doing that. It's not doing that action. It's not an action of spam.
Well, spammers often do it.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I would
normal people do it too.
I would
I
love
might
John.
buy a domain name like SEOangels.com and point it to searchingroundtable.com.
So if we point
I have-
if we point like 1,000 sites right now to Google.com, you think that wouldn't be, you know?
No, I don't think so. I think Google will figure out what the canonical version is and not count as much as the other ones. There's not going to be a penalty. A lot of people do even like CNAME stuff without knowing what they're doing, or having the same domain name resolve to the same web page by accident. There's a lot of webmasters that don't even think about Google or how search engines work.
Was
They just do things without thinking.
Was this on IIS or Apache, or do you know? Because IIS by default in some cases only does 302.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Which the example wasn't clear. So.
Yeah.
Well, Apache also, if you don't define the redirect, it will default to 302.
Yeah.
And how many times have we all done audits on a site where we'll see, like, even though they have never done SEO, that they'll have 20 or 30 302 redirects.
A whole bunch. Not only that, you know, even done SEO, chances are they'll have redirect chains, which to me is, you know.
Yeah, I would say there's not enough information.
Okay, next topic.
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, Barry, what's your next one you got?
Okay. The big one, at least the fun one this week, was the whole thing with Internet Explorer and how Microsoft ran a campaign through Social Chorus, I believe, specifically around soliciting bloggers and social media people to go ahead and write blog posts and social media shares to the Rethink IE brand, so that people could, generate buzz about Internet Explorer and start using it more often these days, as whatever. And Google's Matt Cutts went ahead and said, I should have a conversation with the person in charge of this campaign, suggesting Google would go ahead and penalize Internet Explorer for such efforts. Microsoft immediately, when they found out in the morning, fired Social Chorus. Social Chorus basically denied that they did anything wrong, I believe, and I don't think anything really happened with the campaign. I mean, I think it just initially launched that morning or that afternoon previously, and nobody really took any action, meaning there were no links generated or very few links generated from it. That being said, it's funny because Chrome had the same issue literally like 2 or 3 years before with Chrome, where the Chrome team hired a social company to actually promote Chrome as a browser, and Google, Matt Cutts and his team actually penalized Chrome's webpage for ranking for the term browser for a certain period of time. I do not believe Internet Explorer was penalized, even though they don't rank on the first page for browser, which is interesting because they haven't ranked on the first page for browser in a long time. That being the case, it was interesting. I wanted Microsoft Bing to actually penalize Internet Explorer. That would be the right thing to do, just because Google did it for Chrome. But I don't think they did. I don't even know. I don't really keep track. But that's
They'll rehire them again. They fire them. They'll rehire them.
I do laugh that Microsoft is doing SEO for Internet Explorer. I wish they would do SEO for Internet Explorer like 9 or 10 or whatever. I don't know whatever the current version is, so that way they can like target the people who are still on 6 and get them to upgrade. This would be like my dream.
Or I would wish they would just get industry standard and do, follow the, what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, because I mean, I was looking at analytics last night, and I always make it a habit now of checking to see what browser. I still had people using Netscape come into a site that I was working, and I have access to.
Netscape.
And my head hurts. My head just it hurts when I see that people are doing that, and I have to question why do people do that? And now I've just come to the realization that okay, I'm just going to put up a message on my website saying, hey, I noticed that you're using Internet Explorer or whatever. Please upgrade to a more secure browser, and I'll give them the Chrome link, and that's it.
What's the problem with me using Netscape? I like using Netscape. You don't like when I go on your website using Netscape?
I love it.
Dude, Netscape Navigator 4.75 is the shit.
Watch your language.
Everything was Netscape in our high school, man. Everything Netscape. Like,
I used to Google on Ask Jeeves using Netscape. Those were the days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
What's your next thing you got, Barry?
All right. Well, I want to wait for when Josh comes back. I'll ask the next question. So.
No, go ahead. That's his law.
No, I need him for this. I need him for the whole Payday stuff. We need a Payday guy for this.
All right, we'll come back to the Payday stuff. What else? What's the next one after that?
Let's talk about interest. So I asked John Mueller about sites that are penalized. Do they go ahead and get crawled less quickly? I mean, less frequently. And he said no. They get crawled just as frequently as they were pre-penalty. And I thought maybe, sites that were penalized, obviously, they're less valuable in Google's eyes, so maybe they should crawl them less often. But yet, if a site's penalized and they have to get out of the penalty, Google, especially the algorithm penalty, they have to go ahead and get crawled again, which then if they're delayed, having a penalty lays another penalty on it because they're slower to crawl them. So John said, no, that's not the case. We crawl them just as frequently. An AC.
Yeah, why not? Because we all read your blog post. We can all contribute and make it happen.
AC is what?
Air conditioner.
You think I'm the air conditioner? Oh, because the fan behind me. Yeah, it's hot in this room. The whole office is good except for my room. So.
You might want to think about investing and getting a window unit.
I have window at the corner office. I'm a big shot here.
Okay.
So that was interesting. So you don't have to worry about that. I don't know. But now that Josh is back, let's talk about did the Payday loan algorithm actually roll out? So Matt Cutts announced at XMX Advanced Wednesday night that Payday will launch the next day. It did. He said it's rolling out on Thursday of last week, so a week ago yesterday. And I've seen no signs of Payday Loan 3.0 rolling out at all. What I did see are signs of the ones that claim they had recovery from Panda 4.0 said they dropped back down over last weekend or they occurred on Monday. So, Josh, since you're in the more competitive areas of SEO, did you see anybody get hurt or benefit from this Payday loan algorithm?
Barry, whatever are you implying?
You're more skilled SEO that could compete in certain areas that nobody else can.
Ethically.
Thank you very much for putting it that way. I've done a lot of research into Payday loans. Last year, I put out a video where I kind of researched the backlink profile of a bunch of spammy sites, both for Penguin 2.0 and for Payday Loan 1, I guess it was, last year. And their backlink profile was virtually identical, and the profile of exact match query backlinks to exact match domain were essentially identical as well. So that's just some correlation, but I speculated at the time that Payday loans could very well be a version of Penguin, or maybe just dialed up to a more aggressive degree. And there's some other evidence that kind of think this way is because they call Penguin the Google web spam algorithm, and they call Payday loans the Google spam algorithm. Essentially, they call them the same thing. So anyway, so you can figure out why they do that. But regarding the last Payday loans that was supposedly released after SMX, no, I did not. It just so happens, just randomly, that I have a few friends who might work in some of those spammy niches, accidentally. And as it just so happens, no, none of them told me anything about any problems at that time. No clients have contacted me. I've seen nothing at that time for really spammy stuff. So yeah, no, I have no idea if it was actually released, and usually you would see a big change if something was released at that time.
So there you have it.
Sash, I know you had a gentleman who was gonna, or woman who was gonna join us to do a potential audit. Can you hear me, Sash?
Just about. Right, that's better. Okay, so what are we doing?
You emailed me earlier this week talking about someone to do a potential audit for. in this
Yep.
Hangout? Are they still okay with that?
Yep, they're cool. In fact, they're welcoming any kind of feedback they can get.
All right, so why don't you go ahead and tell us the site and tell us some issues about it, and then we can all go ahead and look at it, and then we'll come back to the favorite part that Barry loves the most, and we'll come back to some news at the end, so that way we keep Barry here for another 20 minutes.
Right. Okay. The site, the gentleman actually was in a Hangout a couple of weeks back, and he reached out to me. His site is CostaRicaVacations.com.
All right.
He's been having problems breaking anything even remotely resembling the top 100 on his target terms. He's bought the domain aftermarket. I've already identified some issues with backlinks that would conceivably cause problems. I haven't had as yet a chance to look at the site itself in any great depth because I've been dealing with clients of my own in the last few days. So really, as far as it goes, let's look at the on-site end of things.
So it's Costa Rica. What was it again? Costa Rica.
CostaRicaVacations.com.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
All right.
This title tag looks pretty spammy in keywords.
Well, let's break it down. Let's go. So that way we're not like opening the fire hose or doing a shotgun type blast with everybody else speaking at once. Let's go in a little bit of order, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I always look for the good in a site. So I'm going to go first, and then hopefully that'll give some of you time to formulate some of your ideas. And by that time, we're able to run through everyone, and so that way we'll have some better ideas instead of just shotgunning right out the blast, right from the beginning. Okay, that's cool. So what I liked in the very beginning is I like the logo. Okay, believe it or not, I like the navigation and where it's sitting, and I'm just looking from an overall perspective. I like the hero image. I like that. It makes me go, ooh, I want to go to there. Okay, like Tina Fey said, I want to go to there. It's got some good, navigation below the hero image as well. Weddings, adventure, all-inclusive, family, honeymoons, nature. Okay, lets me understand that. And then it's got some customize your itinerary. It's kind of right at the fold, which isn't a bad place. It makes me kind of want to scroll down a little bit more. It's got some content there and some different colored fonts, and it looks like Costa Rica's original travel agency is actually an image and not text. It's got some images, and it's a long site, though. It just appears to me to be very, very long. Okay.
If I'm really interested, I mean, I'd still kind of scroll.
Exactly. So now let's roll through this. Hopefully that gave you guys enough time to think up some ideas instead of just shotgunning blasting through this. Yeah. So, Wissam, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. It's other than the links, I think he doing some rich snippet spamming. I'll put it this way. So he's using real authorship on his. I mean, it's not on his author. It's basically on every single page of his website. On the home page, he have in the footer text that's basically marked up with 97. Travelers has been reviewed, and there's no reviews at all. So he needs to make sure not to spam this kind of areas because, especially snippet. I mean, rich snippet. If they take it away, they take it away. They will never give it back to you.
Okay. Sash will skip you since you brought this in, and maybe you can go last.
Okay,
Robert.
no problem. I don't mind being left out. I'm used to it. I'm German.
You're in Texas. So, Robert, go ahead.
I actually just realized I was on the wrong site. I was on not the plural version of it, but I haven't had much time. But I do see he's using a CDN for the images, which is a good thing. It's a positive. But other than that, I haven't had enough time to look at it.
Yeah, you were on CostaRicaVacation.com, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of a bummer they weren't able to get to have them to have both Costa Rica Vacation and Vacations. I would try to get both of them. All right, so we'll let you do some searching, and then you can come back on that. Okay. do a round 2 on you. All right. Let's see here. What the heck's going on? Josh. Gotta unmute yourself. There you go.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what have you seen on the site?
I see quite a lot on this site, actually. Let me just open up my notes here that I have for it. Obviously, it's a nice-looking site. For me, the question is not whether it's a nice-looking site, but whether it's servicing the query intent. Sometimes big hero images don't help service the query intent, although in this case it probably does.
And what else?
I made some notes here somewhere, but I can't find them.
No problem.
That doesn't help.
We can come back to you. Eric.
What I like about the site, I mean, there's clear call to action. Some might say a little bit too much call to action, but it at least like one of those things where like if you talk to a lot of small business owners, a lot of times they don't actually have the phone number. I know Baruch loves to put the phone number everywhere as well. I mean, they do a good job of making it available for you to be able to call them, contact them, or even fill out a form. I think for small business owners, that's something that they should take note of. That's one of the good things that I saw.
Okay, what are some of the bad things?
It's pretty aggressive on all kinds of call to action, which basically, I mean, like if you even look at their homepage, you have like a form field at the top, then you have like the read more, which kind of hides a lot of the content, which is a little spammy, I would say. I'd be a little bit careful with that. And then at the bottom, they have yet another slider thing. Newsletter signups, like us on Facebook. Like, there's a lot of different things that you're asked to do, and for me, it doesn't feel like they're funneling people into like a particular experience or into a particular, like.
See, it's one of the when I looked at this the other day, it's like one of the first things. It's like, whoa, it's almost information overload.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not only that, but so there's a lot of keyword stuffing in the HTML as well. They should watch the title attribute.
Well, hold on, Josh. So just so that everyone else who's watching knows and participating, let's talk about keyword stuffing. Because a lot of people don't know exactly what that really means. A lot of small business owners, I was talking to one of them the other day, they didn't even know what keyword stuffing really meant. And I had to sit it down and explain to them. So since you brought that up, how about you explain that for the noob out there or for the small business owner who doesn't know?
Sure. I can explain my definition of it. So it seems to me, based on the research I've done and what John Mueller has said, that anytime you're mentioning a keyword on the page that doesn't need to be said, you don't say it. So the text will sound repetitive or jilted, or the HTML itself is going to have title attributes or alt attributes, or even HTML code that you can't see when you're viewing the page, but that has keywords stuffed in there that you're trying to rank on. So for example, for this particular site, he's got Costa Rica vacations in the URL. He's got Costa Rica vacation, which is just a little, and he's got Costa Rica vacations as a link, and then repeat that about 3 or 4 dozen times for all the other links that he has on that page. So that's something that particularly John Mueller has specifically said not to do. Yeah.
I'm just like looking at it, and I don't get the tabs. Like I click on weddings, I click on adventure, I click on all-inclusive, family, honeymoons. Okay, the slider changes, but like it doesn't give me anything. You know what I mean? Just because that alone, I mean, increases the bounce rate. I mean, what's the point here? Like, with the slider thing. I'm clicking on weddings. Okay, now I'm getting married, so I clicked on weddings. Now what? What do I do? I mean, like, I want to see something, I guess, weddings in Costa Rica, like, you know.
All right, well, let's go on to Brian. Brian, what's your thoughts on the site?
So whenever somebody searches for something like you know, vacation or Atlanta hotel or something like that, chances are they want to book a room. And so I would honestly, like, it frustrates me, and I think it frustrates a lot of users whenever they arrive at a website like this, and you know, they want to go ahead and book something now. They don't want to have to, you know, maybe it's 2 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. They don't want to have to wait until the next morning to call to get a quote that, you know, may be in line with what they want to spend, and it may not be. So I'm not sure it addresses the intent of a lot of queries for that reason. The other thing I see is that you can't just throw keywords into a page and call them tags. They need to be marked up as tags, and I see a lot of what look like tags visually that aren't, you know, semantically marked up properly to denote that they're a tag and not just a bunch of keywords that are in a page.
By the way, just so you guys know, on my end, I don't know if this is crazy. This is the first time I've ever seen. Looks like SCM Rush is down on my end. Is that for you guys as well?
They were having some DDoS attack in the morning, or probably is happening again.
What?
DDoS attack.
A lot of companies have been having that lately.
I got them.
Oh, SCM loads on your end?
Yep.
All right. Never mind.
It works for me, but
Maybe it's just because you're in Canada.
no, it actually is down.
Bring it up again. The Canada thing. Come on. By the way, I just met Hillary Clinton, and you know, we are your #1 partner. Just so you.
What were you going to say there, Barry?
No, it's interesting. It's not down for me, but if you go to the website that tracks if it's down or not, it says it's down. So it's not just Canada.
Okay, Canada again.
Yeah, Rob Ford is our #1 partner.
That's good to know.
Hey guys, so I have Don on Skype here. I have the owner of that site on Skype, and he wanted to ask you guys a specific question. I gave him an answer, but he wanted me to open it up to you guys if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it.
So he uses a content delivery network, and as I understand it, the content delivery network was not canonicalizing their HTTP headers. So that means that there was a version of his site on Costa Rica Vacations and a version of his site on the content delivery network on some other URL, and they weren't canonicalizing it to point to him. So he was concerned that this was an issue. I told him probably not. If this version here was even indexed, Google was probably smart enough to realize this was a CDN and they were just canonicalizing it on their side to his site. But he wanted me to open it up to you guys and see what you guys thought
By
about it.
the way, you guys are both wrong, and I just checked down for me. It is down. It's not just me. SCM Rush, it's down.
Okay, well let's not worry about SCM Rush. Let's answer the question though.
No, I was just gonna look. I mean.
Come on, Baruch. Come on, man. Answer my question.
I don't think it's an issue because whenever you take kind of a rare and random and unique snippet of text from his page and you put it in quotes and search for it, the only site that shows up is his site. So, I mean, it could be an issue, but you know, if his site's the only one that's indexed for the keyword, I mean, for those terms, probably not.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with you, Josh. I'm pretty sure Google knows where most of the CDN networks are, and they're pretty. I mean, it's not like a number in the hundreds of thousands, right? They're a set number, so I'm pretty sure they're good with that. And it looks like he has canonicals in his HTML anyhow, so even if they're caching that, it should all canonicalize to the correct location. Yeah.
All
So
right.
let's get him in.
Just to let people know, if you're not participating, like we just kicked one guy out.
Well,
So
tell them to come in. The site owner should come in. Whoever
either
you're
the
watching
site owner
come
should
in.
come
I've
in.
just messaged him to try again.
Okay.
I mean,
Go ahead, jump on in. Pedro Diaz probably wants in as well. Pedro, you can always hit me up on chat. You got my private chat. Hit me up, dude. I'll send you the link anytime. Come on.
The mobile site, yeah, I mean, it's responsive, but
There's Dawn. Dawn just joined us. How you doing, Dawn?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Loud and clear. So you are the man behind Costa Rica Vacations.
Yeah, just let me make sure I got, okay, I'm set up. Took me a while to get in here. The room was full, so. What was the outcome of this conversation?
we like your site.
Well, there's a lot of stuff went over. It might be good to go back and watch the video for it.
Yeah, I did have a particular question. I'm not sure if it got through. Was about
CDN?
Yeah, exactly. Like that just floored me yesterday with Max CDN when the guy told me that for the last 8 months they didn't have the canonical headers on there, and maybe I just take it for advantage that a CDN service would know better. But am I wrong, or is that a major issue?
It doesn't look like whenever you take a unique snippet of text from your site and you put it in quotes and then you put that in Google search box and you search for it, no other results are showing up, and so that's normally a good sign that that content appears on both the CDN and your existing site, that it's not being indexed both places for some reason. So it doesn't appear as though that's a problem, but if you start seeing that type of thing show up in search results, then it might be worth digging deeper. But Google's pretty good at realizing CDNs or CDNs.
One thing that Pedro Diaz has just pointed out to me in chat is on the homepage, if you scroll down to the Costa Rica's original travel agency, if you hit read more, it drops down a load of content that is dubious. I mean, we're talking keyword stuffing here, you know?
Well, no. What happened was I went into the Google forums, right, and I was begging for people to help me out here, and somewhere, whether it was in the forums or on one of these Webmaster Hangouts, John Mueller suggested that the content, we went and looked at a competitor. So if you go to vacationscostarica.com, which is the #1 ranked site for that niche, you're going to see that that's exactly the solution to their category pages, was to put a hidden div in there which contain content. Because on the category pages, if you're offering vacation packages, naturally, if I had it my way, and I'm sure the user, they would want to only see the vacation packages. But Google says it's too thin, and I fall under a Panda penalty for having these category pages for all-inclusive hotels, for example, or family, kid-friendly hotels, these categories. So the solution we came up with was, why not take the #1 ranked site, which I worked with before I actually bought this domain. What do you got to say about that, really? Because all I did was model what they did. I thought, okay, if Mueller suggests that I'm thin on content on these category pages, that's the only way I can do it. And that is very unique content, because 3 women that work for me full-time wrote all of those articles, and it totaled, I don't know, 15,000, 16,000 words that I ended up adding after I got that advice.
So Don, sorry, so you're saying, what are you saying? You're saying you put a bunch of content under a hidden div with a tab to read more? And or are you saying that plus you got that content from some other site?
No. I had that written uniquely for me by 3 of my staff members.
Then why hide it? Because that's only possibly causing an issue.
If it is, I'm interested to hear why the #1 ranked site isn't a problem for them. I did do some research.
Okay, hold on. Let's not worry about the #1 ranked site. Let's not worry about our competitors. Let's always worry about what we're doing, because that's what matters most.
Okay, I agree. So I'm not hiding it for any reason other than aesthetics. I didn't want to put it on there, but I was told that I'm going to fall under a Panda penalty for these category pages because they don't have content on them. They just show packages.
Who by?
Pardon me?
Who said that the Panda would get you?
Well, I don't know if it was specific to Panda, but I believe it was very clearly said to me inside of the Webmaster forum that this is a problem for e-commerce sites, particularly. Not that
the last year, I've come across so many people who've come to me after going to hack SEOs saying, "Oh, I'm going to be penalized for doing this. I'm going to be penalized for doing this," and then I've shown them the research or I'll show them like that. You can do X, Y, Z, and you will not be penalized for that because it's not black hat. I was like, why would you even think this? And they're like, "Oh, well, that's what they told me." And I'm like, so you're going to trust everyone that tells you anything? So if I told you to drive on the other side of the road, you're going to say that that's okay?
Give me a sec. I'll try that. I'll be right back.
Well, you can. You're from Europe.
So, yeah, Don, of course, no one except for Google really knows what algorithm might dislike the hidden content right on your index page. Could be Panda. It could be the keyword hiding algorithm that they have that runs consistently, and they've had that for like 10 years. The net effect, however, is that I'm pretty sure, I don't know about the rest of these guys, I'm pretty sure it's not a good idea to have it. If the content doesn't need to be there, then I would just remove it. I fully understand what you're saying about aesthetics, and I totally understand that, and aesthetics are, in my opinion, important for SEO. But if that content needs to be there so people can read it, then let them read it. And it's like saying, well, if I fly into space, I have my spacesuit, and so I'll be safe. My answer is, well, don't fly into space. Or sorry, it's a weird metaphor. I'll explain the metaphor. Why invite possible destruction by allowing hidden content on your site when you didn't need to do it to begin with?
Okay, well, just to be clear, the home page is a new thing. Hiding that content or putting it in a drop-down was new. I originally had it out as homepage content, and what I'm referring to are the category pages. But I respect what you're saying on the homepage. I have no problem. I'll take off the hidden div and just put it back to the way it was. I did have a question, but on the content, on the category pages is really where I'm wondering what everybody's thoughts are. Because if I have a category for all-inclusive hotels and it just grabs, from the database, it just grabs the little box that shows the particular all-inclusive hotels, what is your opinion? Are those category pages going to run into problems with Panda because they're thin on content?
No, I don't think so. As long as you're pulling in, you're not iframing the content that's for each hotel, you should be fine.
So the thing is, Google.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the thing is, Google understands what an aggregate page is, or what a search result page looks like, or what a category page and what you're calling is basically an aggregate page is. So they already have templates and signals and what that is. So you don't need to stuff it with content just to make sure that it's not going to fall under Panda. The thing is, like, Google doesn't want to rank aggregators. Like, if you listen to Matt talk for the past few years, and if you even look at like how like Shopzilla and BizRate, and I mean Shopzilla is the only one who's left standing, but all those like aggregators, they're all gone because they're not adding any value, right? So if you're adding value and the value you're adding is the perspective, the content, or maybe it's your aggregation, then you got to surface that. But like, don't add content just because you think that it might get hit by Panda, especially your aggregate pages.
Like in terms
where
of
you should be putting the content is on those individual detail pages where you have a lot more where users really want to end up being, not just the aggregate page that shows them everything.
Okay.
John, did you take hold of
No, stop. We're moving on.
All right.
We beat this with a dead horse. Don, if you want to come back and talk about this next week, glad to do. Jump into the SEO technical community on Google+. A bunch of us in here are moderators in there. Come to Google search forum, or not search forum, Google Webmaster Central. and we'll be glad to help you out in there. You got Sash, you got Brian, you got myself, who are in there all the time. Sash and Brian are TCs. I'm a rising star in there. We'll be glad to help you out, okay? But I think we've focused a lot of this Hangout on this, and I think we should move on. So, Don, if you wouldn't do me a favor, bounce, because Pedro's...
no, Pedro can't actually join. Pedro's at a really noisy work environment. That's what he's just told me.
Oh, okay. Well, then, Don, you can hang out. We're going to talk for the last 9 minutes here on just random stuff. So everybody's going to have, like, basically 1 minute to talk about cool stuff or business stuff that they've seen this last week and things like that. So while you're thinking of those processes in your mind, I'm going to go first. So I have the opportunity this last week to meet with a potential client. They have been in business for over 30 years. They produce high-end quality hats. I'm not going to tell you the company. I don't want anybody poaching them yet. So the thing is they produce high-end hats. Kind of cool stuff. Now, they have been around for a long time. Really high-end stuff. And it was really interesting because their site has not been redesigned since 2001. So it's a really old, nasty-looking site. And a lot of us have dealt with that type of stuff. But when I asked them the question of, hey, what's your business plan? What's your marketing plan? What's your business goals? 1 year, 5 year, 10 year, even your 3-year stuff, 6 months, any of those type of things, they could not even articulate any of that. And so if you're a small business owner, please get it. Okay, Josh, you're next.
Oh, no, I haven't seen anything cool. I've just been busy taking apart a large UK real estate franchise company, so my head's been totally under the water. I haven't even posted in Webmaster Central Forum. The one thing that's really cool that's coming up is I/O next week, where I've already got a load of kind of party invitations, so I'm kind of looking forward to that. Yeah, somebody else can go.
I hate you for being able to get into I/O.
Hey, you know what? TCs were able to get into Google I/O. It's awesome. Come join the TC program and get into it.
Whatever.
Wassam, you want to go next?
I had a question for you guys. Actually, I wanted to ask.
Okay.
My biggest thing right now that I'm looking at for SEO is I'm really marveled at how well Google seems to be able to track what I call buzz generation. How really well they're able to track what people are talking about on different websites and using positive co-citation or positive co-occurrence to tell them what's new and hot and what should be ranking, which has nothing, little to nothing to do with links, and that it could include maybe what people are talking about on social or on smaller social networks, on forums. I don't know. But I was wondering what you guys thought about kind of this, and that also ties into author rank as well, and tracking what the experts are talking about and tracking where they're talking about and what sites they're going to. I was wondering what you guys were thinking about in terms of those algorithms, because it seems to me, my opinion is, I think Google's doing it, and I think that that's the way things are going. If that makes any sense, I could explain more what I mean.
Do me a favor. Write it out so that way I can process it. Put it in the SEO technical community on Google Plus, and then I can jump on that.
All right.
Robert.
The coolest thing I found this week was using water pistols to get answers from Google. That was the coolest thing I found.
Say that again?
People had to use water pistols to get answers from John Mueller at Google.
Happens. Robert, what have you seen?
I'm going to pass.
Good call.
Can't top that, seriously.
Brian.
Not much, man. I'm speaking at I/O, and I've just been working on that for a good bit. So.
Are you speaking at I/O?
Yep.
Oh, you are? I didn't know you were speaking there.
Yep.
Oh, you have to tell me more about that later.
I hate Brian more than I hate Matt and Tosh.
Okay, Brian, I have to ask the question. What are you speaking on?
No, just a little short part during the Ignite session. So.
Oh, Ignite. Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw the invite for that, and I was kind of scared to get up there in front of all those guys and speak. So I will admit I was intimidated. Okay, Dawn. You want to join? You want to say something this last week that has caught your eye, something like that, in business or in SEO related?
No, I'm good. I got to go back and review everything that was said before I got here.
Not a problem. It's all recorded. It's posted to YouTube. That's the great thing about these Hangouts. Strongly suggest you go watch it. You're going to learn a ton. We strongly recommend anybody just to subscribe to the Helpdesk Hangouts YouTube channel. And so that way, even if you miss a week, you know, if you're busy, if you're working, if you're on a client call, you can go watch them. And so that'll be awesome. Next week.
I think the site is a nice looking site. I just want to say, you know, you got a little beat up coming here and we give a bunch of opinions. I think the site is a very nice looking site, just my personal opinion.
I do too, and I said that as well. So overall, I think it's a nice looking site. It has a few usability. Maybe try Optimizely. I think you might find some good things in there using Optimizely.
Did anybody bring up any issue with that big slider being above the fold before the content?
We did talk about that.
All right, I'm going to review it.
Okay. So
I have a very important question for Barry. I made a video a couple days ago, and I want to know, and a lot of my viewers want to know, why do you call yourself on Twitter the Rusty Brick? What is a Rusty Brick, and why is it you?
He's optimizing for Rusty Brick. Was it?
Yeah, I think it's just easy to rank for, so I don't have any competitors. No, I have my company's Rusty Brick. We build web software, labs, boring emergency room hospital software. Just 2 words put together.
Oh, so is it like a reference to like red brick buildings or something?
No, just 2 words we put together in high school to perform our company, which has been around for the past 20+ years.
Huh?
All right.
He's Jewish,
cool.
and he's in New York.
So one thing, the last thing, and then we're going to close this down, is Sash and myself and Brian will all be at I.O. next week. We will not be here. So Wissam and is going to be co-hosting with, I just had a brain fart. What's his name out of Chicago?
Michael Klein.
Mike. I'm still not sure. I think we should do a little sort of extra lunchtime session hangout from I.O. Just kind of
try
over the sandwiches if we get a chance. That'd be great.
I do have one thing to add. How about that Costa Rica-Italy game? Wasn't that just awesome? How many of you are football fans here?
Actually, the English would not agree with you. I've had a lot of emails from people that are really pissed off at Costa Rica winning.
I was going for England too, but I got to go with the Ticos first, right?
I'm going to say it. I don't follow soccer. I'm an American football kind of guy. So college football.
Oh, you're a hand egg kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm an egg kind of guy, hand egg. So anyways, you guys have a good one. Enjoy your weekend. Go out and play with your families. Enjoy it. And be thankful to be off the computer this weekend. Try to stay off of it as much as you can. And go out and do something. See you guys later.
Catch you later, guys. Bye.
See ya.